guys, Joel here, Police 10-8 Talk. Got my partner, Officer Bosco, back with us. Before we get into doing this firearm, if you're a regular subscriber, you notice that we hadn't posted anything new in like 2 weeks. We've both been having our own little physical issues we've been dealing with, so we apologize for the absence, and we will endeavor not to let that happen again. But today we're going to be taking a look at a Kahr CW-40 handgun that Bosco prefers for his off-duty carry. And I'm going to let Officer Bosco is going to go over nomenclature with you and show you a few features with it. And then we're going to wrap up. We're going to weigh it, magazine out, magazine in, and then we'll pause for a minute, reposition camera, then we'll do some firing of the handgun, and after that we'll give you our opinions of it. So Bosco, you want to take it away?
Start the show. Okay. This is basically the Kahr CW-40, and it's in 40 caliber. Basically what the CW series is, the difference between it and what is known as the P series. They both have the polymer frame, but the main difference between them is mainly from the main slide. It doesn't have like all the fancy scallops in it, and it doesn't have like the laser etched car name and the model number and all that stuff, which is a big difference between them, which of course that costs money to do that. Also the slide is just essentially just more or less just rounded off. You know, like I said, it just doesn't, the slide itself just doesn't go through as many processes, so it's a little bit cheaper to make the slide. Also, I think if I remember correctly, the slide stop for this is actually, I think this is the one that's 2-piece, or it's the P series is actually a 2-piece slide stop, whereas the other one's milled out of 1-piece. But basically between this and the P model, they're almost exactly the same. Like I said, the main thing is just mainly cosmetics. But that's the difference between the CW and the what is known as the P series, which also has the polymer frame as well. The metal frames are all going to be anything with a K, MK, or just a K series. Those are going to have the regular metal frames and also the metal slides. The barrel on this, if I remember correctly, is approximately 3 inches long. It is stainless steel. It is coated. The upper slide, of course, is also stainless steel as well. So it's got a pretty good finish, and you know, being in Florida, it definitely helps out when it comes to rust and things like that. It's got a standard, what is known as the regular front dot sight, and then we got what is the dot the eye sight post in the back. Popsicle. Basically, where you just line that up with the back line there. Basically, what I did is I took high-vis paint and put it on the front, and also put glowing green paint on the back, just to just so you could pick it up a little bit quicker. The magazine capacity for this gun is approximately 6 rounds. You can get a 7 extension, 7+1 round as well. Magazine aftermarket, ProMag makes one, as well as Kahr himself makes one as well. Basically, the Kahr pistols have been around for a good number of years now. I'd say probably at least 15 years, I'd say. This is actually the 3rd Kahr I've owned. I owned a K40 and I had an MK40. This one by far is a lot lighter. The polymer frame doesn't make a big difference. To me, their polymer frame is excellent. It's probably one of the better polymer frames you're going to get out there. Now the basic nomenclature of the gun, it's just pretty much straightforward.
You can't get a whole lot more basic than this.
Yeah, it's not much. Basically, you have a regular button style magazine release. You have the standard trigger, and you got the slide stop. That's it. I mean, it's basically, there's no safety on it. It has no external safety, though it does have an internal firing pin safety on it. But essentially, it's it's very simple, very basic. A lot of your newer concealed carry guns, some of the smaller ones, don't even have a slide release on them. This is nice because it does, because at least you can hold the slide open like that. So
this one locks back after last round?
Yeah, it does lock back.
Okay, nice.
Basically, the trigger on these are actually very nice. Now, the only bad thing about this gun, its only real complaint, which is not really a complaint. I'm used to Glock triggers. The Glock trigger has what is known as a short reset on it. This does not.
Yeah.
This is basically, and I'm going to pull the trigger. It is unloaded.
It's unloaded.
Okay, to try the trigger, it's very consistent, but it's like a double action revolver. And it breaks real easy, even it's real crisp, but you don't have a reset. This trigger has to go all the way forward to reset. It's not like a Glock where you can That's where you hear the click. It's got to go all the way forward, so it's not like a Glock where you can short stroke it.
There's no catching it at reset.
Yeah, there is no, the reset's all the way forward on this, so it's more like a double action revolver, which is not a bad thing because this is a concealed carry pistol, so it's not really that big of a deal overall, but that's the only real complaint I have because when I shoot this, sometimes I have to remember it's not a Glock trigger. I don't have that reset. Yes. The trigger pull, I think, is rated at 5.5 pounds. It's around 5.5 pounds, 6. It's real smooth. Also, another difference between the barrel too is to save money instead of doing the fancier,
I'm lost.
like the Glock, the polygonal.
Yes.
Rifling. It just has standard rifling, which is cheaper to make. So it just has standard rifling in the barrel, which is another difference between it, like the more expensive P series. Okay, you do, of course, you have aftermarket sights you can get for this as well. The takedown for this is actually very easy. What you do is, of course, make sure the pistol is empty. Okay, and what you do is you basically take the slide release and knock it back. Okay, now I don't know if you can get this on the camera, but there's actually a notch on the frame, and then there's a notch on the slide. Okay, and what you do is you let that go forward, and you'll see it when it lines up. It's a little difficult to do. But when those two line up, all you do is you essentially push the slide stop out from the other side, which, by the way, until this breaks in, it's real hard to get that out. Since it's broken in now, it's not that difficult. You basically pull that out, and just like a Glock, it slides right off. And basically, putting it back together is going to be a little difficult. Of course, it's got a stainless steel guide rod, not plastic, it's stainless steel.
So the recoil spring isn't captive, it's loose.
No, it's loose. Now, the one thing that Kahrs are famous for, which is a reason why their guns they came out with some of the thinnest guns first, was they have basically an offset feed ramp. So instead of using a full feed ramp, it actually uses almost kind of like a half feed ramp, and it's slightly off center. And that's the reason why the Kahrs are so thin, is instead of having a full feed ramp, it literally is almost a half a feed ramp. And that's basically the reason why the Kahrs are, like I said, were some of the thinnest pistols you could get when they first came out, just because of that, because of that offset feed ramp. And you can definitely tell if you know firearms where a normal feed ramp will probably go about that far. Whereas this one, like I said, it's not only about half of that, but you can tell it's also slightly off center too, which is a reason why this this gun's fairly thin. It's about I think less than an inch. It's like 0.96, I think. So it's literally less than an inch thick, which is amazing when you're carrying off duty. And like I said, it is a 40 Smith & Wesson, so you're still carrying a major caliber too. And of course, in the slide, there's a safety. Firing pin safety, or sometimes it's referred to as a plunger safety. Yeah. Which, of course, when the bar comes back, it pushes this up so the firing pin can be released forward. So it's basically it's a drop safety. So that way, if you drop the gun, even if it strikes the rear, because this is striker fire just like a Glock, you have less chance of a round going off. Okay, and just like the Glock, when you basically pull the slide back, it's basically at a half cock, just like a Glock is. These guns are very similar to Glocks in a lot of ways. I mean, they're different in some ways, but they're very similar in others.
Let me see that just a sec.
Okay.
You can get a good view here of how he was talking about the off ramp.
Yeah.
The ramp not being full width and it's offset to one side. That's a good way to demonstrate that there. If you want to put it back together.
Yeah, and you can actually almost kind of see that from where that piece is at, where it's literally been cut off. I mean, that piece is almost exactly where that other half of the feed ramp would be, so that gives you a good idea. But they're still very reliable. I mean, like I said, I've put probably 300 rounds to this gun. Now, one thing you got to learn about the Kahrs, which pretty much any of these compact guns with the major calibers, you got to break them in. Kahr actually tells you to put a minimum of 200 to 300 rounds through these guns before you fire them, before you consider what is known as broken in. This gun took about 250, 300 rounds, because you can notice the difference. When a gun's broken in, you can kind of tell the difference if you shoot quite a bit like I do, and I've shot quite a bit with this gun. You could tell when it was finally starting to break in. Like I said, this piece right here, when I first bought this thing, even though it was slightly used, you had to literally push this pin out, the release, to get it out. Now it comes out real freely, which that's a good way to tell if it's broken in. And to get it back in, this is going to be a little more difficult. Basically what you do is you line those dots back up, and basically you try to put it in, and it snaps completely back in. Let it go forward. You'll notice how that's offset just slightly. But that's how you got to line those up to get that piece out. And then of course you pull it a couple times just to make sure it's back into battery. And I usually try the trigger too. Okay, but that's basically just the basically just a rough going over what the CW-40 is to offer. Like I said, it's very compact. I can carry this thing all day. It's a 6+1 round magazine, so you know you got 7 shots. So it's basically like carrying a revolver, but of course, unlike a revolver, you can do a fast reload. But like I said, this gun is actually very accurate. I've shot this gun. It's almost as accurate as my Glock 23, which I shoot a lot. I actually got a perfect qualification when I qualified with this, which my Glock, I'm usually one round off. This thing I was perfect, so that's the first time in a long time, which he was there. Officer Joel was there when I did it. What we're going to do is we're just going to weigh it real quick, just give you an idea how much the gun carries. And this is going to be just without a loaded magazine in it.
And I'm going to have to probably block the view for a minute to get the sun off of it.
Yeah, because the sun's kind of on it. Because this is a typical Florida day. It is blazing hot, real hot.
Dude, I can't even read the scale. The sun is so bright.
Yeah. So we were going to give you an idea of the weight. I'd say roughly with this thing loaded with 6+1 rounds, I'm figuring it's maybe 2 pounds at the most, maybe 2.5 pounds, which is very light when you're carrying it. It does have a little bit of a base plate on the magazine. The magazines are all stainless. This is all stainless steel. It's not polymer. The follower's polymer, but this is all actually stainless steel. And actually these are made, I think, by Kahr makes these magazines for Kahr. And it's still not going to be able to work?
No.
Okay. So basically that's just a rough overview of the Kahr CW-40, which is, like I said, their economical line from the P40. And basically what we're going to do is Officer Joel's going to shoot a magazine through it, just to give you an idea what the recoil is like on it, and I'm going to shoot a magazine through it. So we're going to move over to the range and plink some rounds down range, let you know.
Hey guys, Joel back with you. We repositioned, moved over to the berm. I have shot this, I think, one time previous, so this is still kind of new to me. So I'm going to load it up and fire 6 rounds. Maybe. Yeah, you can tell it's not a Glock. Alright guys, that's 6 rounds through the CW-40, and I don't know if you can see the target, but it is accurate to be so small. Being 40, I'm used to shooting 40 in a full-size Model 22. Recoil's a little brisk, it's not unmanageable, and it's accurate, so I like it. Now Officer Bosco is going to come in, and here's the mag, and he's going to load up, and then he's going to fire it as well. So give us just a moment.
As you can see, I chewed Joel's target.
Yeah, but you also threw 2 out.
I threw 2 out, but still, overall for a 40 cal, it's more than manageable. If you shoot a lot, it's nothing that anybody can't handle. I love this gun. It's super accurate. It pretty much feeds like butter. It's probably one of my favorite firearms by far. The trigger, like I said, is a little bit hard to get used to if you're used to a Glock, but it's nothing, like I said, you can't handle. And as you can obviously see, it's very accurate, and that's the main thing. As long as it's functional and it's accurate, that's all you need. And that's why it's my favorite off-duty carry gun. I believe Officer Joel's going to come back into the shop.
We're going to sign off. Thanks for watching, and as usual,
be safe and watch your 6.